はご覧のスポンサーの提供でお送りします。
Hey everyone, Kakarot197 again, and welcome back for part 2 of the Midnight Fenrir Corps' Fate. It has been long overdue, so if you don't really remember part 1 anymore, or you haven't seen it yet, there's a link to it on screen or in the description down below. Last time we ended with Rommel and Schmitzer's meeting. During this meeting, Rommel congratulated Schmitzer and his team for the success of their last mission. They were also welcomed as a part of the base in the most traditional way, with a bunch of booze. It was during this drinking that Schmitzer and Rommel began talking. First about Schmitzer's wound and how the Midnight Fenrir Corps got started, later about what they were trying to achieve. Schmitzer wanted nothing less than for his men to become commissioned officers, a dream that was now slowly being torn to pieces. In response, Rommel raised a glass, spouting the same old about how Zeon would never be defeated as long as they believed. Upon hearing this, Rommel's men joined in. They would fight for Zeon and for the zombies. This was followed by the usual Seek Zeons. Schmitzer did not agree. He was fighting for the freedom of the Space Noids, not for Zeon and much less for the zombies. As he said this, the entire room became silent in an instant. Rommel slammed down his beer glass, exclaiming that even though they had their different ways of thinking, as long as they both had the same fighting will, it was fine, and that they would fight until the end. However, this end came much sooner than any of them expected, for on the next day the base was surrounded by an enormous Federation battalion. As the Federation broadcasted the news of Zeon's defeat and was urging them to surrender, Rommel's unit also received the same message from the homeland. Zeon was defeated. Rommel fell to the ground in disbelief when he heard about the death of Giran and Cassilia. Schmitzer, on the other hand, simply ordered his men to prepare to sortie. Seeing as how they were completely surrounded, they would have to launch with everything they had. Despite the communications, they were still not fully convinced that Zeon had actually fallen, especially Rommel. In the last minutes before the battle, Schmitzer went over the Midnight Fenrir Corps' remaining battle strength. Blue Team consisting of Ensign Lou Rower and his early production type Goof, Sergeant Matt Austin and his Zaku 1, and Ensign Sophie Frank and her Dom Tropen. Then Red Team consisting of Ensign Renchev and his captor Jim, Ensign Charlotte Hepner and her Zaku 2 F2, and Ensign Nikki Robert and his Zaku 2 ground type. All units were rated at about 70% operational capacity. Seeing his dream of his men becoming commissioned officers crushed before him, he was forced to send them out as Desert Rommel rushed the Federation forces who were demanding their surrender. Rommel did this all while shouting about how Zeon would never surrender, and neither would he. Schmitzer took a much more careful approach, ordering his men not to pursue the enemy too far, with their only mission being to stop the Federation's advance. Rommel, on the other hand, encouraged his men to fight for their glory, leading to their inevitable demise. Try as they might, the Midnight Fenrir Corps could not make up the difference. The Federation forces seemed endless, but during the battle they noticed one striking thing. None of the Federation troops were particularly keen on engaging them in combat, almost as if they were reluctant to fight, almost as if this war was already over. Eventually, Rommel and the Midnight Fenrir Corps had to fall back due to mounting casualties, mainly on Rommel's side, with the Midnight Fenrir Corps only having lost Charlotte Zaku, with her herself being okay. Back at the base, however, the realization that the war was truly over slowly began to dawn upon the Midnight Fenrir Corps. Rommel, having witnessed the power of the Federation, realized that the only option left was a tactical retreat, and Schmitzer offered him the service that the Midnight Fenrir Corps was best at, covering said retreat so that they wouldn't be attacked from behind. Schmitzer couldn't help but ask if Rommel planned to fight until his death. The answer was a resounding yes. Furthermore, Rommel told him that after their retreat, the Midnight Fenrir Corps could do as they pleased, but advised Schmitzer not to throw away the lives of his men. As he left, he said that only time would tell who made the right decision. And so time did, with tragic irony. While he was the one who told Commander Schmitzer not to waste the lives of his men, after hiding for almost a decade in the desert, this is exactly what he did himself. Rallying under Hamon's banner during the first Neo-Zeon War, they fought valiantly against the Gundam team, but eventually died without having accomplished anything for a cause that collapsed in on itself. On the other hand, back in UC 0080, we see Agar talking to his captain into letting him convince the Midnight Fenrir Corps to surrender, a surrender that he believes they will accept. After having exchanged blows for so many times on the battlefield, a certain camaraderie had developed between them. And so Agar launched in a fan-fan, its weapons sealed in order to convince the Midnight Fenrir Corps. And that is all for the second and final part on the fate of the Midnight Fenrir Corps, at least as far as the 1-year war is concerned. If you like lore videos like this, be sure to like and subscribe, and if you want to support the channel, you can do so through either Patreon Blades for high quality razor blades, or Patreon. And I will see you all next time.